This is your WWE news of Wednesday morning. Regarding what's going on in the Middle East, the war that is raging on, I would like to cover untold history, Operation Gladio. It mainly concentrated here in Italy because 36 years ago, a politician which is called Giulio Andreotti, he went in front of the Italian Parliament and said, he spelt the beans on this so-called converse CIA operation. Basically, what happened was, it goes back 80 years ago, after World War II, and obviously the Americans, and it became formally the CIA in the end, took all the Nazis and fascists to englobe them inside their administration, secret services, and they were left behind fighters. They're the ones who should contrast and coordinate paramilitary operations in case of a Soviet operation. They had obviously funds, equipment, weapons, everything they need supplied by the CIA, obviously in a secret way. In the end, they were used to create disorder from the beginning, from the end of the late 60s and right through to the early 80s here in Italy. Disorder and chaos and confusion. The Red Brigade, it was probably one of those proxies which they terrorised Italy in a strategy of tension for those terrorist years, and they were probably responsible for many bombings, kidnappings of politicians. Probably that of Voldemort, the CIA was behind it, because obviously he wanted, with the Italian Communist Party, historical compromise, political compromise. And obviously probably NATO and Americans just shit in their pants, because after the war, I think in 47 or 48, there were the Italian elections. They were rigged in a certain way. They were ready to go into action with some type of military coup. There was another type of coup in program, which a police officer discovered by chance. He found a suitcase of secret documents, and it was called Piano Sola. This was another coup which the Italian military, the fascist part of it, because they were still members of the fascist regime after the war in the 1960s in the Italian military, which they were ranking as generals and God knows what other type of positions they were in, to take over Italy in case of yet another communist winning elections. That plan was unfoiled. Basically, it just was creating destabilisation, not just in Italy, in France, Belgium, and in Germany, and probably other European countries. They're known as the sleeping cells, and it's a bit like the sleeping cells which we have today. They operate on the same type of organised structure, paramilitary training, but it's more disguised as Islamic terrorists. Think for 1 minute, what's the point of importing Middle Eastern so-called refugees, illegals, in the thousands? For what? To maintain them. Obviously they are your would-be terrorists, which were probably trained by their predecessors, CIA and Robert Jones, because Islamic terrorists like Al-Qaeda And they were created by the CIA many, many years ago, time of Afghanistan, to counterattack the communist and Soviet influence in the world, especially in Europe at that time. And obviously, it's the same thing they do in every country, even in Ukraine. The Mandama coup. They are CIA operatives which undermined that country because it was essential to the West to wage a future war with Russia. This is what the Ukraine war is about. They want to decapitate Russia because Russia, not because it's a communist Soviet threat, is becoming an economical and military power, number one, too. And even in China is a little bit more difficult to infiltrate agents there. But they're probably these sleeping cells, whatever their type, whether they are funded by the CIA or trained or whatever, they are there to destabilise and create now and then eternal chaos in many regions of the world. Peace for the intelligence world means they'll be unemployed, most of them, and therefore obviously there's economic interests, the big corporations of the defence. There's billions and billions of dollars in it, so it's interests for everyone. And obviously in many parts of the world where there are so-called refugees, asylum seekers, they are potential sleeping cells. When they receive the order, they know what to do and know what to attack.